Well, hey, Sam, too. I like the new look. Looking pretty cool with the helmet and the sunglasses. I'm going to review Ant-Man and the Wasp. Did you see it? Oh. Okay, then you should probably just cover your ears and go over here. Yeah. You can come back for another video. I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. I actually saw it a while ago, but I didn't make a review because I was lazy. And now I'm doing it now. Exciting. Aren't you thrilled? I made notes because I tried to record this review earlier and it was just a mess of me talking that I decided I didn't want to post on the internet because I'm lazy and I don't feel like editing. So I'm just gonna talk at you and keep it all together and you have to deal with it. Sorry, not sorry. People don't watch this channel anyway. Well, some do. I shouldn't say that. I love everyone who watches this channel. You're beautiful and wonderful and I appreciate it. And if you like to hear me ramble about movies that I love, this is the place to be because I loved this movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the latest addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, one of my favorite movie franchises ever, mostly because I love Marvel, also just because the MCU has created so many beautiful things that I'm really into, and I thought that this was a great addition. Cool thing about this film is that it actually takes place between Civil War and Infinity War, so it jumps back from the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie we just saw and fills in this time from the point of view of a character that we didn't get to see in Infinity War, and I thought that that was pretty cool. But this movie also doesn't have Hawkeye, so it didn't really fill in any of the holes I wanted to know about, okay? No, that's not true. Scott Lang, Ant-Man, brings with him one wonderful thing, and that is his daughter Cassie, who's one of my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe characters. She's absolutely wonderful. But what I want to talk about is Cassie, among other things, but mostly the female characters in this film. One of the cool things about Ant-Man and the Wasp is that it is the first Marvel Cinematic Universe film that has a female character in the title, because Black Widow doesn't even get a byline, even though she's been in all of them. But this one does bring the Wasp to the forefront, and it's clearly a film about both Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne. So they come together and they are equal parts in this film, and that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about it. And I really liked the characterization of the female characters. So the female characters, let's just give you a rundown. We're gonna start with clearly not my favorite, but the most important, and that is Hope Van Dyne, played by Evangeline Lilly. She is the Wasp, and between the last Ant-Man film and this film, Scott Lang went off to help Cap during Civil War, and he didn't take Hope with him because he's a jerk. No, he's not really a jerk. He's just one of those people who didn't think about it. And so she got bitter, and they haven't been speaking, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't been busy. And it's very clear from the beginning of this film that Hope has really come into her own. She has owned this Wasp persona that her father finally deemed worthy of letting her have. So props to Hank Pym for not being quite as terrible in the films as he is in the comics. And so now she is a hero in her own right. Even if she's on the run from the government and kind of a vigilante, totally fine. She's awesome. She fights, which we knew from the first Ant-Man when she taught Scott to fight, but she uses her suit seamlessly, and it's very clear immediately that she has such a grasp of the Pym particle that Scott can't possibly have, and I don't even think Hank Pym himself has. Everything just flows naturally to her, using the growing and the shrinking and how it works and when to shrink and when to grow and how to use it and how to adjust it and how to use it on other things. And that's one of the things that she plays with a lot. Plus, she stands up for herself. She fights for herself. She doesn't let anyone do anything for her. She orchestrates a rescue for everyone. She's pretty freaking awesome from start to finish, which is exactly what you'd expect. And she also has this line that's in the trailers, if you've seen it, where she asks Scott why he didn't invite her. And he's like, I don't know. And she said, well, we'll never know, but I can tell you that if you did, you wouldn't have been caught. And all you can think is, yep, that's probably true because Hope is awesome. But Hope is not the only awesome female in this film. A large part of this film centers on Hope's desire to get her mother, Janet Van Dyne, back from the quantum realm, because now Scott came back from the quantum realm at the end of the last film, so clearly it's possible, which means it's time to go get Mom. Janet Van Dyne is played by Michelle Pfeiffer, and she doesn't have a large part in this film, but it's clear from the backstory of how she got stuck in the quantum realm, and also her brief interactions as a character, that she is strong-willed, and that she is a warrior in her own right. And the fact that she went into the quantum realm without hesitation, the fact that she made Hank build her a suit so that she could come out with him on his missions. Like, she has clearly been an equal partner from the beginning, and I really like that. There's also a great scene where from the quantum realm, she sort of takes over Scott Lang's body, and then Paul Rudd has to pretend to be her. It's comedy gold. He does a fantastic job of changing his mannerisms and the way he speaks and the way he acts, and I really enjoyed that bit. And I also enjoyed how he had to pick up on the things that, like, Michelle Pfeiffer did, and it's a good bit in the film. And then she also has magic powers, which I didn't know how I felt about that, but I'm willing to embrace them because they'll probably be useful in the future. But I'm not done with awesome female characters yet. We have to talk about my clear favorite, which is Cassie Lang. This is Scott Lang's daughter. She is a gem. She's one of my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe characters because she's adorable. She's tiny and young, but she gets it. She's absolutely cool with the fact that her dad is Ant-Man. She helps cover for him. She figures things out without having to be told. She just looks around and immediately knows what's going on. She comes into the apartment and goes, all right, my dad is Ant-Man again. He clearly isn't here. Something's going wrong. I gotta cover for him. I will lie to the FBI about what's going on because that's how cool I am. And they have this really adorable conversation, also in the trailers, where she says, maybe you just need someone watching your back, like a partner. And that's what's in the trailer. And then in the film, Scott goes, yeah, like maybe Hope. Cassie goes, well, I meant me. But I guess Hope's okay. And it's so cute and so perfect. And you realize that Cassie really is his partner in crime. She covers for him all the time. She is absolutely there watching his back at every moment. And she loves him so much. Plus, if you know anything about Marvel, Cassie Lang does have superpowers and is one of the Young Avengers. So I'm just saying, MCU, if these movies keep going on and you need somebody, Cassie's your girl. And then the final awesome female character is actually the villain, sort of, in this film. The character's name is Ava, also known as Ghost. Ghost is a villain from the Marvel Comics, but it was a guy, so they reinvented the character completely, totally fine with it. Basically, she was the child of some people who worked with Hank Pym. They were working on the Pym particle and the quantum realm, and something happened. There was an explosion, quantum energy flooded her and her parents. Her parents died, and she gained this power where she's sort of out of phase with reality, so she can move through things, hence the Ghost name, and also interact with things. But it's been slowly tearing her apart since she was a child. Now she has a suit that helps her control it, and a room that she can go in that sort of helps, but it's not fixing it, and she's gonna die. And she is an interesting character. She has all of this anger built up inside of her, and she clearly believes that Hank is at fault for everything. But she ends up having a lot of depth and a lot of heart, and as you get to know the character, she becomes infinitely more interesting. Also, she was basically the US's answer to the Winter Soldier. They trained her as an assassin, and she went around and killed people for the US government, and it's awesome because I have wanted like a Winter Soldier foil for ages, and Natasha is sort of that, but you get the feeling that she was an assassin and then she switched sides and sort of got out of the assassin game and into the hero and spy game. And Ava straight up just killed people. There's a lot of really cool footage of her being an assassin through the years and how she was used. And I think that that is really, really interesting. And she survives the film, so I would like to see her around later because I want to know more about her for sure. I thought that it was a neat introduction. It makes her a different and unique character, and the MCU has built her in a way that opens up all these opportunities that they wouldn't necessarily have had if they followed the comic lineage. And those are the 4 awesome women in this film, and they take up most of the airspace in this film. Sure, there's a little bit of Hank Pym and this guy that he once knew who's been helping out Ava, and there's a bit with Scott Lang and his issues with the FBI, mostly the fact that he basically avoids actually being under house arrest for the entire movie. But the entire movie is only like the last week of his house arrest, so he's done pretty good for the last however many years he was supposed to be under house arrest. Props for him. There are a lot of fun and funny moments. I talked about Scott being Janet Van Dyne. I thought that was great. Also, the way that they use shrinking and growing in this film has been fantastic. That's always one of the fun parts of the Ant-Man universe, is that they can shrink and grow other things. So they have this like Hot Wheels container of cars, and they just pull the cars out and grow them into cars and then shrink them back. They shrink and grow things that they throw and move, and they use them in fights. And so it creates a very different and dynamic combat sequence as opposed to the strict I'm gonna punch you that happens in a lot of the other Marvel cinematic films. And I like that added element. It also lends a sort of campiness, but not so far into it that it becomes ridiculous, just that you feel a little bit more at ease and you feel like you can laugh in this film in a way that you can't necessarily laugh in some of the others, and that they don't take themselves too seriously, and I really enjoy that. I also love small things. I like miniatures. And so the idea of Ant-Man shrinking like the building and the cars and everything and then just carrying them around, just, oh, I love it. I really, really do. And the first Ant-Man film has one of my favorite laugh out loud moments, which is when they grow the Thomas the Tank Engine and it like bursts out of their house and it's just sitting there with its eyes going back and forth. And it cracks me up every time I watch that film, as if I've never seen it before, even though I clearly have. The final thing I'm going to talk about is a major spoiler because it is about the after credit scene. So the after credit scene is Scott Lang going into the quantum realm to gather this quantum energy, which is what gives Janet her like magic powers. Basically, they discover that quantum particles can like help heal people. And while he's in there, and Hope and Janet and Hank turned ash. And Scott's in the quantum realm. You know why? Because they didn't put Paul Rudd in the other Infinity War, I guess. So they were like, what do we do with him? We'll stick him in the quantum realm. I'm a little frustrated by that, but it's fine. And the other annoying thing is, I waited until the end of the credits where they always do like, Ant-Man and Wasp will return. And then they usually say like, Ant-Man and the Wasp will return in, and they say stuff, or they just say will return. This time they put, Ant-Man and the Wasp will return, period. And then the period changed to a question mark because the people who make these films are jerks. That's all. I really enjoyed it though. If you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you should absolutely go to see this film because it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe and they want their money and I will pay it to them from now until the end of time. I'll see you tomorrow.